All right, you guys are lucky I'm doing this for you. So here's a quick video on rational functions form number 2, all right? So functions in this form are going to look like this, okay? It's just going to be one fraction, and you're going to have a linear function on top and a linear function on bottom, right? So A, B, C, and D, these could all be numbers. Now, you're basically going to graph it the same way as we did yesterday. The most important thing is getting the two asymptotes and getting those on the graph, and then just plugging a number in and getting your 2 points. Now, here you can see in the steps for graphing, this tells you how to get the two asymptotes, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is set the denominator equal to 0 and then solve, and that will give you where the vertical asymptote is, because the bottom of a fraction can never equal 0. And then to get the horizontal asymptote, you just have to know this formula, y equals a over c, and that will always give you the horizontal asymptote. So let's look at a quick example, okay? So if we look at example number 1, okay, first we want to get our horizontal asymptote. So we want to find what is a over c. So here a is 2 and c, there isn't a number there, but remember, if there's no number, that means it's a 1, right? So c is 1. So a over c is 2 over 1, which is just 2. So our horizontal asymptote occurs at y equals 2. So we can go ahead and get that put on the graph. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set our denominator equal to 0. So that's x minus 1. And the solution to that will give us the vertical asymptote. Now this is obvious, x equals 1. So we are going to put that on the graph as well. And now we have our two asymptotes. The last thing that we need to do is we need to plug in a point to figure out where our graph is actually going to be. Now, there's not really any way to tell. Like, there's no a value here to see how much it's going to go up. There's really not any way to tell even which of the 4 quadrants it's going to be in. You basically just have to pick a number and plug it in and then kind of find out. So I always recommend plugging in either the first number to the right, which would be like here, which would be 2, or the first number to the left, which would be here, which would be 0. So let's just go ahead and plug in 2. So we've got 2 times 2 plus 4, and then on the bottom we've got 2 minus 1. So this is 4 plus 4, which is 8, over 1, which is 8. So when we plug in 2, that gives us 8 as the output. Now, you might notice here that this is up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you know it's going to be mirrored on the other side as well. So to get our other point, we're going to go to the left one and go down 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's our other point. So that is the same as yesterday. It's still going to be mirrored. If you go up in one direction, you go down in the other direction, and then we can connect our graph, and we are done. All right, so that's kind of how you do this. Domain and range is still the same thing. Okay, you're just kind of breaking it into 2 parts. So domain left to right is negative infinity to 1, and then 1 to infinity. And range is negative infinity to 2, and then 2 to infinity. All right, so just like we did yesterday, I'll just go ahead and show you the second example as well. I recommend you pause this video and try the example on your own and then come back and watch it just to make sure you know what you're doing. But if you're just going to watch it, then just watch it. All right, so what do we want to do first? We want to get a over c. Here a is 1 and c is 2, right? It's these two numbers right here. So this is actually at a half. Okay, so our horizontal asymptote is going to be at y equals a half, which some of you might not like, but that's fine. We can just kind of put the asymptote about halfway up between 0 and 1. And next, we are going to, again, set the denominator equal to 0 and solve. So we got 2x plus 4 equals 0. That gives us 2x equals -4 and x equals -2. So our vertical asymptote will be at x equals -2. Oops. Now, again, we don't really have any idea of where the points are going to be, so we just kind of have to plug a number in. We can plug in either -1 or -3. I think -1 is probably easier, so let's do -1 plus 3 over 2 times -1 plus 4. So that gives us 2. On the bottom, we've got -2 plus 4, which is 2. So this is 1. All right. So that will be at -1, 1, which is going to be just right here, which is actually only up by a half. So that means on the other side, it'll be down by a half. So very close there. Then we draw in our function. And then we just need to do the domain and range. So our domain is -infinity to -2 and -2 to infinity. And then -infinity to a half and then a half to infinity. So basically all of these problems are done the exact same way. Some of these questions, like, for example, this one right here has a negative sign out in front. That is going to flip the graph, but you just got to know that you're still solving and doing everything the exact same way. So when you plug your point in, it's already going to account for the reflection. So you don't need to, after you're done, then reflect everything. It's already reflected. You're good. So the negative sign doesn't really do anything different for you. None of these are really going to do anything that weird. So you've got 6 problems. Try them. I'll put a key up so you can check your work with the key. Don't just copy the key. All right. Our quiz on this is going to be on Friday, so you want to actually know what you're doing. So give them a shot. If you have any questions, shoot me a Canvas message, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.